Hey everybody, welcome. It's time for Atomic Radio Hour, the post-nuclear podcast. I'm your host, Vince. How are you? Welcome to today's program. It's episode 297. Yes, 297. That's a whole lot of episodes. We're getting close to episode 300, which I have some more news on in just a moment. But before we get into that, I want to thank you. The last episode where I did the live review of the trailer got a ton of reception, and if you guys are new, if you saw that and decided to stick around, I just wanted to say thank you for giving me a chance. I love Fallout a whole hell of a lot. I have a shelf here that I haven't shown off in a while because I have to redo it and everything, but it's probably one of my favorite things in the world, and thank you for checking me out, checking the show out, checking out anything that I do in the Fallout space, because this really does mean a lot to me. I've been a fan since 2008, and it's been my favorite thing since then. Quick little housekeeping thing. You might see on my glass is a glare. I said last week I was going to go out and buy a lighting kit. Turns out I had one. I totally forgot I had one. I got to use this once. So what's coming up is my left-hand side. For me, I don't know, for you, I guess the right, everything's flipped. This side of me might be a little darker, but if I did everything right, the green screen should be less wonk. There's some shadow here by my right ear. I'm not sure how that's going to work. My hand shadows some things up. I've only used this once. I was on like a student film crew for a documentary, and we had gotten to use my lighting kit because it was a better lighting kit than we had available. So I'm going to be working out the kinks with this. I have two other lights that I can set up that might offset some of the shadows. I'm going to have to look into all that. Anyway, welcome to Atomic Radio Hour. Like I said, I'm Vince. You guys look fantastic as usual. And to keep in the vein of all of the Fallout on Prime, I guess that's what we're calling it, Fallout on Prime. Keeping in the vein of all that, if you guys haven't seen a bunch of, I know Epic Nate was there, Tunnel Snakes was there, Overboss Niwa, I could never say the dude's name, Mrs. Fallout were there, and that Junktown-esque area is actually called Philly, F-I-L-L-Y, Philly, and it's a real-life settlement. Like, it's a real-life Fallout settlement. And there's some videos. I won't put anybody's videos here. Oxhorn was there. I won't put any videos up just because I don't want to take anybody else's stuff, especially when it's people in the Fallout space. But it's cool to see, like, a real-ass Fallout-y world that they live. And there's video of, like, Todd Howard walking around and Walton Goggins walking around and the director. And, you know, like, I'm watching these videos and I'm, like, getting excited. I'm like, ooh, look at that. Like, that's a junk jet. And those are people that look like they're addicted to some sort of chem. And they're, like, giving out bottle caps as a real-ass prize. And it just made me happy to see. And, like, you know, I'd be lying if I said one of the goals of this show isn't to be able to go do something like that. I mean, I show it off almost every episode. But my copy of Fallout 3 that I have signed by Wes Johnson, right here, I need a signature of Todd Howard. And if everybody's meeting Todd Howard at these Fallout events, I kind of need to meet Todd. I don't know. It was just cool. I wanted to talk about it. But there's something else that I want to talk about. Like I said, keeping in lieu with the Fallout show that we talked about last week. Let me grab my notes quick. I have a feeling with this new lighting setup, it's going to blur me out a lot, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I hope this lighting thing works. What was that? I started wearing white to record this because I realized that the white reflects off of me the best when I was doing it, and I was just using, like, the house lights. I was just using my bedroom lights, and now I have a whole... I'm also sick. I don't know if you can hear my voice now, but I got a little bit of a cold. But I was just using that, and the white was reflecting best, and then I had to switch the lights, and I didn't buy the same lights, and then it looked like bad. So I have this lighting kit. Like I said, I have two others that I can set up, but I'm curious to see how this looks. If this works, then this works, and I'm keeping it. I'm going to slowly go blind, though, with this light in my eyes. So Papa Kyle, one of my best friends, Daddy Kyle, special guest Kyle, for those who've been around for a while, sent me from Video Games Chronicle. Todd Howard revealed Fallout 5 secrets to the Fallout show's crew. Now this, like I said, comes from videogamechronicle.com, posted on the 11th of March 2024 in the year of our Lord. This said it was posted, so I'm assuming it's both written and posted to the website by a fella named Chris Scullion? Scullion, keeping in lieu with the trend of writers' names who I can't properly pronounce. This is paraphrased. Of course, these are just some highlights that I took from the article itself. Jonathan Nolan, writer, director, and producer of the show, caused confusion amongst fans earlier this month when discussing the show with Total Film. He said, "It's almost like we're Fallout 5. I don't want to sound presumptuous, but it's just a non-interactive version of it, right?" This is no longer the quote, but added on to it, "It's neither designed to replace nor recount the events of the upcoming Fallout 5 game." Again, from Jonathan Nolan, "It means you have all the benefits of beautiful storytelling from Todd, and Bethesda has contributed too. But we also have to tell an original story in that world. As writers and filmmakers, it's just a dream come true." I think we made Fallout 6, Graham Wagner, the showrunner of Fallout on Prime, said, and then replied, to which Nolan joked, "We all know about Fallout 5, we're not telling anyone." Howard then clarified these jokes by explaining that he did indeed share some details on Fallout 5 with the show's creator, if not perhaps the full thing. Not speculation from the writer of the article. "Well, there were some things where I said, don't do that because we're going to do it in Fallout 5. Again, Todd Howard explains. Howard also reiterated that the Fallout show will be a separate story from the game, saying, "It wasn't the translation of an existing story. It was what would the next thing be. It just happens to be a TV show," which I never thought of the show as the next installment of a Fallout. Like, I just thought of it as more. I never thought of it as the next installment of what we're going to see next. I saw it very much as just here's a little bit more. It seemed like DLC or like a game that you play as like a hold off. Like, okay, the next thing's coming, but like, wait, and here's this. Like, here's this. I'm trying to think. Assassin's Creed did it, where you play as Adewale, I believe his name is, the first mate of the pirate. Oh, Kenway? Edward Kenway, I believe, is the pirate. You play as like his first mate. I think his name is Adewale. He's like a Caribbean, he might be black, I'm not sure, but you play as him. That's kind of what I saw the show as. But if the show is, thank you again to everybody who watched the last video, because the last video, I had so many comments saying about when the timeline is, and that if I'm correct, it's 2296, which I don't know where anyone got that information from. But I also saw it on the wiki. I thought, let's see if the wiki has any information on it, and it did. And I saw that it took place in that year, so it's 96. It's 9 years after Fallout 4. Right? 9-6. It's 8-7, so that's 9. Over 200 years. Yeah, over 200 years from the bombing, the original bombing, 200 plus years ago, and now we get to see this. And I heard a theory from a commenter on the last video. Somebody said that the reason why they think Shady Sands is in such disarray is because the NCR lost the Battle of Hoover Dam. And then I thought about it. We haven't seen any NCR. We saw the flag in that one shot, and that's it. We saw the flag in the one shot, and that's it. We also have not seen super mutants. And if it's West Coast, it's presumably smarter super mutants, if there's any left. If this is Southern California, I'm trying to think where Mariposa is in relation, because I'm thinking that's more northern. I don't know exactly where, but it's not. Well, no, San Francisco, I think, is south. Anyway, I don't know. My geography is not as good as I once thought it was. Like, as I've gotten older and I've been like, I need to see more of the world, I recently came to the conclusion I have to be at every continent, but including Antarctica, before I'm 30. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's just something that like is eating at me. And if I don't do it by 30, I got to do it by 35. Anyway, I'm very excited for this show. Now that I've read that, it's like, this is essentially like Fallout 4.5, and I didn't think of it like that. I got even more excited. And all 8 episodes will be out in April 11. All those 8 episodes will be out, so we're closer than we really, really think. If the NCR loses the Battle of Hoover Dam, I want to know if Caesar dies, like, shortly after. I want to know if that's canon. If NCR loses, the dam goes to Caesar. Caesar then invades into Vegas. Vegas gets taken down. And then Lanius takes over, and Lanius doesn't know what to do. But also, if Todd's like, yo, don't do this because it's in Fallout 5, does that mean that they were planning on doing a West Coast one? Which I don't think they would. Or does it mean just the overall themes? Like, was the original plot line of Lucy going to be what is going to be Fallout 5? Like, was because they've been working on Fallout 5 for a minute. If you think Starfield had come out, they were doing the pre-production for, no, excuse me, they were working on Elder Scrolls and they were working on Starfield. Do you think somewhere in the midst of that, I forget, they might have said it. They might have said if pre-production had already started. I assumed it did because Fallout 4 printed money. So I just assumed that they were already balls deep into pre-production. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe it is. Who knows? I don't know. I'm very excited, though. This is a big event. This is a really big event for Fallout fans everywhere. I also got another comment on the past video. When I became a Fallout fan in 2008, I remember trying to find every single video I could find on YouTube about the series. I watched everything about Fallout 3, everything about Fallout 1, everything about Fallout 2 I could find. I watched every Oxhorn video. I don't even know if he was making videos about it back then. I knew him as like a World of Warcraft guy, but I watched everything that I can get my hands on. And there's one dude, Orca Prola or Orc Pro, and I found his video recently because I'm replaying Fallout 3 and I hit the pit and I had to do the 100 iron ingots again, and I wound up using Orc Corpse videos, right? So I remember early on when I was a fan watching videos, actually at my friend Michael's house, not my brother, my friend. I remember watching videos at my friend's house, and they talked about how there's two groups of Fallout fans. The original fans from the 90s, and then the new fans, the people that are there for the Bethesda games. And this is when there was only the one 3D Fallout game, and it was just Fallout 3. And how people were commenting, I hate what they're doing, I don't like it, it should have never changed, they don't know what they're doing, this and that. And now, there's like three splits. There's the original group, there's like the in-between group, which is very much like, here's Fallout 1 and 2 and maybe tactics and the other stuff, and then here's 3 in New Vegas, and then there's 4 in 76. And it seems like this show is going to bring everybody together. I had a comment that someone was like, I have been a fan, I am 56, and I have been a fan of the show. I'm sorry I don't have any of these names written down, but it was like, I have been a fan of this series since the 90s. I have been following this for 20-something years, and I'm so excited for the show, and I'm so excited to read that. Because I remember, and I'll be completely frank and candid with you guys, when I joined the community as a creator. Like, I had always been on Twitter and posts and stuff, and I had some friends and stuff, and then my Twitter got taken down for some silly reason. I had the wrong age, and I updated my age, and it was like, because I started my Twitter when I was in like 6th grade, and they were like, oh, if what you just put in is correct when you made your Twitter, you weren't old enough to have it, so we're taking your Twitter away. So like, all of the people that I would talk to on Twitter about Fallout, I couldn't talk to anymore, and I had to like reintroduce myself, and it was weird. Like, there's like this guy Chris and like Draco Deathclaw, like a bunch of people that I used to talk to all the time, like the early Sugar Bomb stuff too, like that stuff I was very much around for and interacted with. And I remember when the Survivor 2299 came out and we all lost our minds. Like, that was a thing. There was 2 Mr. Matty play videos a day, 2 Lone Vault Wanderer videos a day about what was going on, speculation. Like, that's what this feels like in a really minor way. I'm also older now, so I don't have all the time in the world to pour into this. But, like, to see this, and the point I was getting at originally, it felt like the fandom was very much divided. You were on this side or you were on that side. And there were some creators, most of which I followed, who I was very much, I'm on this side or that side. And now it's just kind of like, dog, we all like the same thing. Why does it matter? Why does it matter who's on what side? And I feel like we're kind of coming out of that, especially now. And we can just enjoy things for what they are. And that's the way it should always be. But I remember having a conversation with a creator and being like, hey man, I don't want to talk about beef. Like, I never want to talk about beef amongst the Fallout community. If what I want to do is unify the wastes, which I know is a lofty goal and probably never accomplishable really, but like, this feels like it has unified the wasteland. This feels like every single wasteland has some sort of merit in it that is being seen by everyone, and everyone is coming into it. And I'm super, super excited about that. I can't wait to see the Fallout 4 fans. I can only imagine they're going to re-release 3 in New Vegas once the show comes out, because it's free money. Even if they just say like, oh, hey, here's like the backwards compatibility or whatever, which it already has on most things. I would be surprised if they didn't. The point I'm getting at is I can't wait for Fallout 4 fans to go back and play 3 in New Vegas. And I would hope all of the Fallout 4 fans and all of the Fallout 3 in New Vegas fans have gone back and have at least dipped a toe into Fallout 1 and 2 and maybe even Tactics. I know I'm guilty of not beating Fallout 1 and 2. It's kind of like a meme. But like, at least know what's going on, like at least see, because if we're going to see remnants of Enclave on the West Coast, if we are going to see a post-Frank Horrigan, post-Enclave California in the wasteland, in Fallout, I'm fucking dumb excited, bro. Like, I'm just so ready for this. I want the show to happen tomorrow, and we have to wait. Because most things in life are worth it when you wait. We got Marcus in the chat tonight. Hello, Marcus. If you guys like the show, check out the Patreon. At the $10 tier, you can watch these episodes get recorded live and become part of the show, much like Marcus just has become, asking, how do I feel about a Fallout 1 and 2 remake in the style of 3? I would love it. I would love it because it would make the games easier to play. Keep the difficulty, keep everything, whatever. It would make it easier to play. There is a mod I talked about a long time ago that's done in Doom that they're going to be doing Fallout but in Doom, and I really want to try it. It's because Doom's pretty much a free game now that you can play. Even if they do it in a level-based structure with like side quests in the level, fine. I don't know how you would do it, whatever, but it's just easier for people to be able to experience the story of Fallout. The one time I'll actually say yes to a mod, because it's just, they're really hard to play. They're isometric, 1 and 2, and I think if you have an easier way to play the game and understand the story and get the experience of playing it, then why not? It takes a little bit of the nuance of Fallout away from it, but if I can play that for an hour and get the entire understanding of the game, then why the hell not? Especially when modern audiences aren't used to isometric games that aren't just point and shoot and click and die. Hey gang, so I want to talk about the lore. We got really good lore this week. We've got lore that I've always wanted to do for a very, very, very long time. But before I even get into the lore, before I even get into the Patreon, really, really quick, I want to bring up, we are getting really close to episode 300 of Atomic Radio Hour. And what that means is every 50 episodes, what I like to do is I like to open up the Discord so it's not just event-based, because except for today, because daylight savings time ruined everything, what I like to have is every 50 episodes. So I did it for 250. I'm going to do it for 300. I'll do it for 350. I'll do it for 400, however long, whatever. What I'm going to do is, if you're in the Discord, this doesn't require a Patreon subscription. For episode 300, I'll be doing the Film Live Before a studio audience for free for everybody. Just a little way to say thank you and give back. 300 episodes is a lot, guys. 300 episodes is a lot. 300 episodes total, 140 something of me doing them by myself. So I've been doing this for a while. And if you'd like to see these episodes get recorded live in any capacity, join the Discord. There's a link in the description below to join the Discord, because this is the March the 14th, 2024 in the year of our Lord. 2 weeks from this day, which math, 28th, I believe might be a Wednesday. I'll have it on screen what that day is. That day at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you can join these and watch these for free, get recorded live for the 300th episode extravaganza. I should have a pretty tame weekend this week, and I'm planning on getting something special, because there's a lot of writing I have to do, because there's going to be a very special segment of lore for that episode. But speaking of the lore, before I can really talk about it, I have to talk about the Patreon. Because of the Patreon, the show continues to get bigger and better. Now, it's not mandatory that you're part of the Patreon, and there's tiers which you can change your subscription at any point in time, from the $1 all the way to the $10 tier. The $10 tier being the Film Live Before studio audience tier, where you get to watch these episodes be recorded live. There's some names on screen that I have to thank real quick. I would like to thank these people real quick. Starting from the top, we have the OG Noah. Thank you, Noah. After Noah, I have to thank Marcus. Thank you, Marcus, who is here tonight. Thank you, sir. I also have to thank Mellow Milhouse. Thank you to Mellow Milhouse. And last but certainly not least, I have to thank Captain Lennox. Thank you to Captain Lennox. Like I said, because of you fine folks, The show continues to grow and get bigger and better, and I'm trying to use this lighting kit, and this might take a few weeks to figure out, but hey, I feel like food dying under the light because this is getting hot. I don't even have my, this one light is super bright. Anyway, thank you guys. I love you very much. Thank you for supporting this thing that I love so, so dearly. But now we have to get into this week's lore. So this week's lore, I went into the Patreon and I do what I always do, and I post a poll. And in the poll, I ask one of two questions of who you want to hear. Now, these two names came up because at work recently, I was having a conversation about, I don't even know how we got into the conversation, but it was like, oh, who speaks the first line of dialogue in New Vegas? And I think, so my buddy said it was Benny, and I said, no, it's Jessup, the con that's with Benny. And we had a little bit of an argument, and I don't remember the exact wording that Jessup says, but it's something like, can't we just shoot him and get on with it? And Benny goes, I don't know about cons, but I look a man in the eyes before I kill him, or something along those lines. So technically, I think Jessup has the first line of dialogue. He's a very important character, even though you don't really get to interact with him all that much. And McMurphy, the guy who's with him, even less. So for those who don't know and need a visual representation before I show something on screen, Jessup being the fellow with the mohawk and the goatee, and McMurphy being the black guy with the handlebar mustache. Now, I put in the Patreon, would you rather hear about Jessup or McMurphy, the cons who help Benny track down and then attempt to assassinate the courier? And I kind of lied to you, and I didn't do it on purpose, but I realized that if I was going to talk about one of them, I kind of had to talk about the other one. And I didn't do that. I didn't, like I said, this wasn't on purpose. It was just something that happened while I was writing. And then I find out that if I talk about both of them, there is a third party that I also have to speak about. So if you'd like to hear any lore, and I mean any lore whatsoever from the Fallout universe, check out the Patreon. From the $1 tier to the $10 tier, your voice, yes, your voice, is heard weekly when I ask a poll question about what character you'd like to hear about from the Fallout universe. It could be a character, a location, a weapon, a quest, anything. So this week I asked the Patreon, would you like to hear about Jessup or McMurphy? And McMurphy won, but like I said, I can't talk about one without talking about the other. So this week's lore is on Jessup and McMurphy from Fallout New Vegas. Jessup and McMurphy are both cons hired by Benny to help track down the courier. Both Jessup and McMurphy are with Benny when they shoot the courier twice in the head. You get to see them in the cutscene, in the beginning cutscene, the opening cutscene, where it shows Benny shooting the courier in the head. And Jessup says a couple of lines, I don't believe McMurphy does. And then they kind of go away and you get to interact with them later, but one of them has died. And a bulk of where you get to find out about these characters is from the New Vegas Collector's Edition, where there is the comic All Roads. Because there's a third person who's with them, a fellow by the name of Chance, another con who is super integral to who these other cons are. And before I can talk about Jessup and McMurphy, I really have to talk about Chance. Now, in 2278 is the Bitter Springs Massacre, which I gotta make the Bitter Springs Massacre a bit of lore for the poll soon, because I don't feel like I know enough about it other than what I've read and the little bit that I've played in game through Boone's storyline. Innocent women, children, and elderly cons were killed by NCR, and Chance was there and just can't escape this hell in his head. Chance suffers from severe PTSD. He has a couple of triggers. One of them I'll talk about in just a moment. That's probably the worst, but he can't run away from it. And if I appreciate New Vegas for anything, it's the attempting of running away from your past. Especially, that's why I think the Sierra Madre is my favorite DLC, just because it talks about grief and it talks about running and it talks about how you can't get away. Like, the problem doesn't go away no matter how far you run from it, no matter how much you ignore it. The problem is there. Confront it. And maybe, just maybe, if you're lucky, it goes away. Fire is Chance's biggest trigger. The biggest thing that triggers Chance is the site of fire. Most of Bitter Springs, when attacked, is burned down. In the comics, there are some slides, there are some panels that show the town of Bitter Springs being burned down. After the Bitter Springs massacre, Chance stopped speaking. He just stopped talking. He just didn't do it anymore. It was a trauma response that he just said. I don't even know if he said it to himself. He just stopped. He shut down. His body would not allow him to speak. And he started to get heavy into chems. He started to self-medicate. He started thinking that maybe he could make it all go away if he used drugs. Both Jessup and McMurphy thought that maybe being with Benny and the other cons would help him during this mission. Maybe it would help him get over it. Even though it's been some time, maybe just being out in the wastes and doing something would help him rekindle, pun not intended, but rekindle who he might be on the inside. When discussing the terms of the mission, Benny took out his lighter to smoke a cigarette, and this triggers Chance's PTSD. Something that Benny picks up on, and Benny says, "The hell is his problem?" Jessup replies with, "Your lighter." Benny, "Oh, one of a kind. He likes fire?" Jessup, "Chance was at Bitter Springs when NCR hit. Still sees it sometimes. Can't let go." So even something as minor as a lighter, he can't deal with. Something as small as just a little pocket flame is enough to set him off. If I got nothing out of who these cons are from all roads, is that they're criminally loyal to one another. They see, and I'll reference this in just a moment, but they see being a con as not a friendship, not a partnership, but a family. They're a step above regular raiders because they see each other, at least these cons, see each other as family, as kinship. They love each other. They probably wouldn't say it, but they love each other. Benny continues with, "Look at him, he's sweating, coming down. He loses it, he's your responsibility." Jessup replies with, "Don't worry about that none. Cons carry our own." When the four of them got to the ambush spot, they noticed fiends in the distance trying to decide on what to do. Chance slipped away and attacked the fiends with only his knife. Chance is a very big man. He's a very big man with long blonde hair, depicted to be very, very strong, very buff. For the Wasteland. On screen, I'll put a depiction of what Chance looks like right now. But it is just the four of them. And he sees that these fiends are terrorizing a small little tribal camp. And one of them has a flamethrower, and it sets him off. He can't think straight. The only thing Chance can think about is murder. And he wants to kill these fiends because he sees these small tribals as his family that were ripped away from him from NCR. So Chance goes and attacks the fiends and takes most of them, if not all of them, out. But this enrages Benny because it puts such a delay on the plan that they had to intercept the courier. And Benny will say, "This is your friend on a good day? And you want to dose him up with Jet and Psycho and whatever other Brahmin shit chems you can and pray it'll keep him calm? Put his ass down." Jessup and McMurphy draw their weapons, believing this to be a threat that Benny is about to kill their friend. And Benny sees this and just goes, "Fine, no need to say it. Cons carry their own. You deal with him, he's your friend." And Jessup snaps back with family. All of the lore that I'm bringing to you today, I get from the Fallout Wiki, fallout.fandom.com. Some of this I actually read up on. I have All Roads right here, but I didn't feel like taking it off the display or whatever. So I went on like the Internet Archive, and there's an upload of it there, and I reread through the comic there. All of this left Chance in a really, really bad way, both physically and mentally, after killing these cons. And during that night, Chance had another PTS dream about the attack at Bitter Springs, and Benny wakes him up from the dream and offers him a cigarette and tells him a bit of a story of an old boot rider that Benny used to ride with, of Benny's old gang before they became the chairman, before civilization came to them and they grew up a bit. They were part of the boot riders. Now Benny wants to tell a story to Chance about this fella. And the story goes as such. So I run this casino, the Tops. Great view. Can see all Vegas from the window. We had acts from all over the Mojave to perform there. Entertainment, class acts. But there was this one, see, the singer. The singer used to run with us back when our old gang rode the Mojave. Like you cons, the boys loved him. He'd sing around the campfire songs about us in the old days. Then we walk the road to Vegas, all the lights of the old world still glowing, pretty as you please. Met the man who runs Vegas. He showed me a whole new way to live. Don't need to play tribals anymore. Thing is, the singer came with us too, and he didn't see Vegas the way we did. Kept singing the old songs from when we were riding the Mojave, kept talking about how we should hit the road again. So he did, in his own way. Problem was, when he sang my boys, they started thinking about how things used to be. You could see it. The last little touch of the old ways there, pulling at their heartstrings like a piano. Nostalgia's a hell of a drug, Chance. You felt it when you decided to kill those fiends. You wanted to be back there with the cons in Bitter Springs. And this time, make it right. That singer wanted to go back too. And the only way he could was to shoot himself up with all sorts of shit. He could have left it alone, cleaned up, changed his tune. But he didn't want to change. Me, I'm not like the singer. I'm done thinking about how things used to be. This courier is the key. I get the package. I won't walk the Mojave ever again. The Mojave will walk to me. I'll hold Vegas in my hand. Thought you might appreciate this. Benny continues to say while he shows a vial of what can only be assumed to be a very potent chem. You're tough, Chance. I hope you can keep it together till the job's done. I really do. But I need you to change your tune. If you can't, Benny places the vial at Chance's feet. Not saying it's an easy road, and it's hard to walk. If you need to lose yourself for a while, go on and take it. The vial sits next to Chance while he looks at the stars for a bit before he looks back and forth and decides to take the mystery vial. Chance overdoses that night. Jessup and McMurphy bury him in the morning because that's what you do for the people you love. You bury the people you love. That was a big thing in The Walking Dead. You burn the zombies, you burn the walkers, and we bury the ones we love. The way it looks when Jessup and McMurphy wake up from the night is very much like he died because of his wounds, because he was so beat up. They find him and he's pale, he's white, he's cold. And he overdosed. He overdosed on a chem because he couldn't run away. He's trying to run away and he can't. He can't get away from what the past is. He feels like he's responsible for what happened to those people at Bitter Springs, his family. And Benny's little story didn't help him none too much. And because of it, Chance is now dead. Now, all of that character, this is one of my favorite stories in New Vegas, and it's not even in the game. It's in the comic book that came with the special edition if you paid a lot of money. But you can find the burial spot for Chance in the game. There's Chance's grave, which is southwest of the tribal village, which is believed to be the village that was being attacked by the fiends. You'll need a shovel. You can dig up his grave and you can get his knife. It's a combat knife with a blood splattering on it. One of my favorite characters in New Vegas. And all that to be said about Jessup and McMurphy. Now, after that had happened, they say we're still going to go. They would not join up with Benny again, though, until they had buried their friend. Because, like I said, it's what you do for the ones you love. That's actually the first way you can tell if a species is developing some sort of civilization, some sort of intelligence that isn't just hunter-gatherer, is if the species starts to bury their dead. And I believe some sort of monkeys might be starting to bury their dead. I don't know. I'm not trying to make this political. It's just a thing that once a society starts burying their dead, it's like considered, I don't think it's like type 1, but something. Jessup, McMurphy, and Benny would then go to rob the courier of the platinum chip, and Benny would shoot the courier in the head. As you probably know, there's 15 million memes about it, and even if you've never played New Vegas, I'm willing to bet you know about getting shot twice in the head by Matthew Perry. McMurphy noticed that Benny was a tribal at some point, and Jessup would go on to steal Benny's lighter, sometime later, but it's just something I wanted to point out now. The three of them, after shooting the courier, would go to Good Springs, to the Prospector Saloon, and tried to get away without paying Trudy. They went there and they thought that they, they're cons, and Benny's an ex-tribal who now thinks that he runs Vegas because he has the platinum chip. So he was like, give me what I want, see? And she made him pay. They then ran to Prim and Novak, and when they went to Novak, they ran into Manny Vargas, who was an ex-con. If you kill Manny or look around his room, you can find a note, a holotape, that McMurphy left for Manny, saying like, hey man, if things ever go south and this doesn't work out, you can come back home to your brothers and sisters. Even when a man is part of NCR, and he's Manny Vargas is an ex-NCR sniper, he is willing to say, hey man, I know that that's the opposition, but you're always welcome at home. You got to do what you got to do. And if things don't work out, you always have a place to be. This is like, I've known these stories, but it's made me rethink how I see the cons in such a beautiful way. And I just can't wait to like go back and go do con missions again. As they approach New Vegas, they end up in a gunfight with an NCR patrolling unit, and they wound up taking shelter in Boulder City. And Boulder City is a big point of contention for the NCR. It's technically where they won the first battle of Hoover Dam, but a lot of innocent people died in Boulder City, and because of it, it's now in ruins, and there is a memorial to commemorate over 100 different people that died that were NCR there. Jessup and McMurphy grabbed a couple of hostages in the city, NCR Private Gilbert and Ackerman, and Benny used this as an opportunity to escape. Now he leaves to go back to the tops so he can go talk to Yes Man and see what he needs to see, and presumably wait there until the courier finds him, and he doesn't pay them. He doesn't pay Jessup or McMurphy, and McMurphy, because of the injuries he sustains from the little firefight before they got to Boulder City, he winds up dying. And that's when Jessup pinches Benny's lighter. When you go there, which is something that I feel like a lot of people don't know, you can get Benny's lighter from Jessup. You can also find some cigarettes from Benny at the Good Spring Cemetery, but you can get his lighter from him, and you can show it to Swank when you show up. I have a little Zippo here on the shelf that I've been meaning to customize to make it look like Benny's. When the courier gets to Boulder City, he can defuse the situation and allow the cons to leave if he so chooses. If he lets them go, the courier can find Jessup back at Red Rock Canyon and have a little bit of a conversation with him. He doesn't have anything new to say about the situation with McMurphy or Chance or Benny, but you can talk to him again. And even when you get there, he's like, hey man, no hard feelings for, getting shot in the head, right? And the courier can shoot him. There's a bunch of different ways you can do the Boulder City quest. You can let them go. You can do this, you can do that. But this story, Jessup and McMurphy, I never realized how important these cons were until recently. Like, I knew they were in the game. I knew what they were doing. I knew about Chance's story. I made a point after I had read through the comic for the first time when I got the collector's edition. I made a point to go get a shovel and go to Chance's grave and get his knife because I was so moved by this. They're just characters that I really, really enjoy. They're really, really fun. They're really, really interesting. They bring such a light to New Vegas. And I hope you enjoyed that, because that is this week's lore. Hey, everybody. Welcome to segment 3. How are you guys doing? How has your week been? As you could tell, I'm sick. Not letting that hurt me. Not letting it take down my spirits. Tomorrow is actually supposed to be a very bad snowstorm here in Colorado. Let me just check real quick. We are supposed to be getting shellacked with snow. At one point, I saw anywhere from 9 to 12 inches. Then I saw someone at work told me they saw 24 inches, anywhere from 8 to 24 inches. Then today I saw 3 to 5 inches tonight, 3 to 5 inches during the day, and then 3 to 5 inches tomorrow night. So I thought, okay, that's like 15 inches at worst, and 9 at best. So I don't know. It's not snowing now. It might have just completely blown past me. Colorado's really weird, where I could go 2 zip codes over and it's a completely different weather situation entirely. But that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to talk about the weather. What I'm here to talk about is my favorite big lizard. I love Godzilla with my entire heart and soul. I love him. 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 I love him so much. And I got to see Godzilla -1. No spoilers. Don't you worry. But it was the first time I ever got to see a Japanese Godzilla in theaters. And if I am correct, it is the first Godzilla that got national publicity. Everything got shown nationally since, I don't know, I think 1998 or 2000, I think, is like the last time that a Japanese Godzilla, Shin Godzilla was big, but I don't know if it had national push because I don't remember hearing about it. And I feel like I would have heard about it being national. Like I would have went to a theater far away to watch it. -1 is a very good movie. It talks about environmental issues. It talks about politics. It talks about PTSD. Without spoiling anything, Godzilla very much is a manifestation of PTSD in -1. It is a very good film. And because the movie is so good, it won an Oscar. Godzilla, after being a franchise, having almost 40 movies under his belt, at least 3 different animated series, 4 or 5 different animated programs on Netflix, starting in 1954, and going all the way to this year, later this month, like right before Easter this month, is Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire. And I really like the American Godzillas now. They're not the really shitty one that came out in 98 or 99, with like Hank Azaria and that dude who's Inspector Gadget, who I can never remember his name. He's also Simba. I can't think of the dude's name. Why can't I think of his name? He's in that one stand-up thing on Netflix I liked. Oh, hello. What is his name? What is his name? Matthew Broderick. Thank you, Marcus. He's also Inspector Gadget. It's not that, and that movie's garbage. And I have a second podcast. That I would like to bring back at some point where we talk about Godzilla movies. I'm not trying to shill for that one, but that I'm very excited that Godzilla won. I actually couldn't find I don't have cable. No one has cable. It's 2024. I don't have cable because nobody has cable. And I was trying to find where I could watch the Oscars, and Godzilla won for best CGI. And, I think there's some other things that he could have won for. The Academy has never given out really anything for it only gave out one for best picture for foreign film, and it was Parasite, which I still have yet to see. I should go buy a Blu-ray of it already and watch it because it won Best Picture. But I'm just super excited that Godzilla won. And there's a lot of good Godzilla stuff coming out. He's also turning 70 in November. We're both Scorpios, Godzilla and I. Our birthdays are 11 days apart. And November 5th, he will be 70, and I'm super, super excited. Because that means Godzilla -1 will get a bigger budget. It'll be a bigger movie. It'll have a longer run in America. They did a week-long run that I thought was cool. That was all black and white, which I guess was supposed to be reminiscent of the first film from 1954. I didn't go see that. I wanted to, but you know how life is. But Godzilla won. And, I saw a meme that was Godzilla has almost 40 movies under his belt and is 70 years old, and he finally won an Oscar. Don't give up on your dreams. And I know that's a joke, oh, haha, fictional giant CGI or suitmation lizard. But, dude had a point. Anthony Bourdain wasn't big until he was 40. Danny Brown didn't release his first album until he was 30. What's his name? The Chicken Man. Who's the Chicken Man? Colonel Sanders didn't start making KFC franchises, didn't start making chicken till he was 60, almost 70 years old. Just don't give up, guys. If I learned anything from a giant lizard who's just fuck Tokyo, it was don't give up. That and sometimes the power of friendship. He also is a kid, and he's not a good dad to his kid, but he's also learning, I don't know what his life was like growing up with his dad, so I can't really judge. I mean, we know right and wrong, but it's a cyclical cycle of violence. He's also throwing rocks all the time in the early movies. God damn, is early Godzilla good. Marcus in the chat. See, this is why you got to become part of the chat, guys. J.R.R. Tolkien didn't write The Lord of the Rings until he was 45. And if I'm not mistaken, he wrote it during World War I. He wrote them while in a trench. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what I've always heard. Also, Curious George was written by Holocaust survivors, as they were leaving Germany. they were like getting out of Germany. And one of the things that the author or the illustrator had, he might have been both, I'm not sure, was Curious George. Like, it is never too late to do something that you love. Do something that you love. And it doesn't matter if or when it takes off. As long as you're doing it, there will be some sort of reciprocation for you. I love a big Japanese lizard. Godzilla has Japanese citizenship. He is not a native of Japan. It is one of the hardest citizenships in the world to get, and he has it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. My name is Vince. This has been Atomic Radio Hour, episode 297. Our intro music is by the one and only Shane Ivers. It's called Feather Duster. You can get that along with all of his free music at silvermansounds.com/free music. In the link, there's links in the description below to the Twitter for the show, my Twitter, Kyle's Twitter. There's also links to the Discord. Please check out the Discord, especially since episode 300 is coming up. Give it a quick look-see. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. And there's also links to the Redbubble where you can buy a design that I or some other folks have made, and also the Patreon. Thank you for checking out the program. I love you guys very, very much. It's a great time to be alive. It truly, truly is. And I'm so very happy that I get to spend some of my time with you guys. Thank you for being here. I love you very much. And I'll be seeing you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Atomic Radio Hour Podcast. This has been a production made by your friends at Ghoulman Entertainment.